it go. Turn up, 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 turn up.
Came from me being the little one, you know.
Oh,
like
did it?
Yeah, like, cause I'm one of the
All
older
right.
ones, but like I'm the rank of the litter. So
Okay, so the
like,
youngest?
Nah, I'm 29.
29.
Like, I'm not the youngest by far. Like I would say the youngest grandchild that I would know of will probably be Layla's son.
Oh, okay. When you
Curtis
look at it that
Conway
way.
Jr.
When you look at it that way. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we back. Yeah, you just caught us in here rapping because that's what we do here.
Yeah.
We back, local Louisville fighting. Back with another episode. Of course, you got me, your favorite ring announcer, Charles C. Dub, MC, and I have a special guest with me today. So before we get into that guest, I got something special for him. You may not recognize him. A lot of people recognize him, but before we get into that, we just had Kentucky Silver Gloves. It was the first time it had been back in Louisville in 20 years. So we want to give a big shout out to All or Nothing, Dorico Murray, and Bosses Not Bangers for bringing that back home. That was a real good event, actually, where I met you at. So we're going to get into that part too. Then we have kids that are going on to nationals. So for those kids going on to nationals, we want to give them a big shout out, or sometimes we give them a jab around here. We give you a jab. We give them a jab. And I know right now we've got Jeff City has one, Isaiah Little Warwick. I know he's going to nationals. I know big ups to them. I know we've got two coming from House of Warriors. So you got Chaffee. I always get his name. It's Chaffee, and then the girl. I can't think of her name, but the girl out of Jeff City, out of House of Warriors. Now, not a lot of people know about her, or they probably do. But every time I go in there, she's always working. And Arminoff is always working with her. So she made it to nationals as well. I want to say her name's Aaliyah, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. So you got two out of House of Warriors, one out of Jeff City going on nationals, and there may be some more. So what we want to do is we want to give you a shout out and wish you all good luck as y'all go up there and represent the city. So y'all do y'all's thing. Now to my guests, let me give a proper introduction. So watch me do my thing. And who we have now sitting in the guest chair, representing Soul Louisville, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and the prettiest, it's the grandson of Muhammad Ali.
And if you ever thought about beating me, you better wake up and apologize right now, because the price is about to go up.
Not about to beat this guy, man. Not about to beat this guy.
Yeah,
so
man.
We have Mark Pence in the building, third generation Ali.
Show for show.
Yes.
Champ.
Grandson in the building, and I'm so glad to have you here. And let's just take it from the top, man. I met you saw you at the Kentucky Silver Gloves event. Didn't know who you were. Somebody told me who you were, and I said, "Oh, really? Is that person?" I said, "That's Muhammad Ali's grandson over there." I said, "Oh, let me talk to him and let me get him in the studio so he could say some things or get people on the level of the things that we trying to do here in the city, because we won't be known for something else more than another 48 hours."
Yeah,
and that's when you come into play.
Yeah.
So the ring is yours, man. So what brought you to the Kentucky Silver Gloves for that event?
What brought me to the Kentucky Silver Gloves actually is because I was already ongoing trying to bring forth some more boxing events for our youth in the city.
Right.
Like you said, it doesn't make sense that this would be the hometown of the greatest boxer of all time. And then to have the crime rate that we do amongst black people. And I think that really would have if he could be here today, I think it would break his heart. So, with me being his blood, I always feel like it's an obligation to show this city with compassion and what it is to be, to be a true fighter again, because it's really confusing, but, it's always something bigger than that. So what brought me to the Silver Gloves was my own nonprofit that I started called Gloves Not Guns, Inc., and we basically just promote boxing in the spirit of boxing, my grandfather's core principles throughout the city of Louisville, worldwide as well.
Right.
And then it just goes forth with just trying to teach the kids to, like, because I always felt like it builds character when you know how to fight and all that. And so kids are gonna fight, and we gotta stop thinking that we just want the violence. We gotta redefine what violence is. So it's a lot of what Gloves Not Guns do, because we more on the information and research and development side.
Right.
But I'm an intern as well for Bosses Not Bangers with Demetrius. So shout out to Michi because he and Tarsha Simakula at the Butterfly Project helped me start my nonprofit. So shout out to them.
Sweet.
I'm eternally grateful. But then also too, Isaiah Ward, little warrior, my little guy, my little bumblebee, I had to come out and support him. I really like to be able to come out and just connect with the people. My grandfather loved kids.
Right.
And he loved to be with the people, that was the thing. Like with me, I'm kind of a much more private person, I just like to be there in the air, you know what I'm saying? And, I do appreciate that I could be, a descendant, but it's always like, for me, it's just my grandfather, because I was born after his Parkinson's had progressed, so I didn't really get to see, what a lot of other people got to see as far as like him in the ring actively. I was seeing kind of things that were past clips, portrayals in movies and stuff like that. And so for me, it's just, I kind of made it to where he's just my granddad. So when I come out, my initial thought saying, oh, I'm here because I'm what I am, it's more so just for support for these kids, for the city, because I love the kids too. That's why I started my nonprofit, because I know that if I didn't have the mentors and the people I had in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And it takes investing in the kids. It was a time when we was coming up in Louisville, when my grandfather was coming up, when you had like Pop Warner, you had Little League, and you had more boys and girls clubs where you could go and do things. You had Day 5 Alive at the Kingdom. You had, a different type of Kingdom before that tragic event with that girl who lost her feet, where every summer all these black kids in these bad neighborhoods like Iroquois Projects and Beecher and Southwood and stuff, they had jobs. And a lot of them was providing for their families. So, when we didn't have Six Flags no more, where these kids get to have these jobs and contribute and build for their futures, and then they didn't replace it with anything. So, right now in the city of Louisville, we got like 100-something youth programs. But a lot of them are underfunded and under-resourced. So, why I said with me being at the Silver Gloves, it's just showing that support. Like again, when y'all announced me, I was happy and I was thankful, but I move like a ninja, so it's not really my thing, but I appreciate it. And so, what I've been doing, because I was living in Harlem prior to Breonna Taylor passing away.
Make sure you speak on that.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna get to that. But I was living in Harlem and I was having a good time there because I was spending a lot of time with the Muslims at Muhammad Mosque 7 in Harlem. So shout out to Muhammad Mosque 7. I love y'all. See you soon, inshallah. But that's my family up there, because my grandfather helped build that mosque, and a lot of people, I wouldn't think a lot of people here know that, but yes, he helped like lay floor, put windows in the building, like he did groundwork.
I was saying groundwork. He did the push and shove.
Not only just putting the money, but he prayed with these people and he helped them establish what they still have today. So it was nothing but love and a beautiful experience, me getting to be there. And so that's why I said, like, now I'm using my granddad's I wouldn't say influence, but like, what I have and that opportunity to just really bring the world together, to promote peace, to curb this violence. The world's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yes, it is.
My grandfather had a saying where he said, "The trees grow, the birds fly, the birds chirp." And he said, "I beat people up." You know what I mean? So that's life. Like really, seriously, the world turns, the flowers grow, and us as people, we just go on. But it's about how we go on and the impressions and perspectives that we have when we're going on. So everything that I just said in a nutshell is what brought me to the Silver Gloves. Right.
We were glad to see you there, and we were glad you're there and come out and support in the whole nine too. So, and when they told me, of course, I had to get on the mic. I was like, hold on. Somebody in the building. I was like, let me say something. So
yeah, because I be trying to be low key, because like
I wasn't gonna let him.
Because like I got before, because I spent a lot of my life. I'm 29. I spent a lot of my life just kind of being private about it, and a lot of that was because I was told to, because that was just what we felt was best. Because the funny thing about life is that it's funny, so it comes with people who it comes with if you've seen any other great black people, and just going back to who my grandfather was, people, because the way we've preserved the legacy here locally, a lot of people don't really understand how influential he was and how dangerous he was, and that the FBI, you know, they were surveilling him. You know, there were spies in his training camps. There were people being sent out to collect information, and he was definitely very much in danger, just like Malcolm X, just like Martin Luther King. And you know, there's, you know, if you've ever seen the Godfather of Harlem, the story where he, you know, allegedly got kidnapped. These things was really happening. You got to remember, this is with the Klan. This is the era of Jim Crow and deep, you know what I'm saying, people being lynched from trees. So this is a whole nother monster that we was living in, where it would have made sense if you have children or you have things that you keep it a secret, or that you, I wouldn't say secret, but that you wouldn't make known for the world. You know what I'm saying? Because what we seen with like with our great ancestor Malcolm X is that you looked at the outcome of what happened after he was no longer here to protect his family and be here. You know, we lost Queen Betty in a house fire, and you know, it could be multiple reasons why that happened, but I'm very much 100% sure that if he were here, it wouldn't have. You know, it's not spoke on much, but his grandson had passed away in Mexico. And at that time, he was the only male descendant living of Malcolm X. So you got to really think about what's happening out here and why it would make sense if somebody's just like based off these things. It's better if we just whoever hasn't been accounted for, let's keep, you know what I'm saying? Because we want this person to live. Somebody's got to tell the story. You know, and then you see with like corporatization and capitalism how it pulls families apart. You know, you've seen that with Master P. And, you know, with him in Rome, you know, shout out to P, you know, for sure.
P, another part of Louisville now.
Big love. No, he's always been a part of Louisville, though. That's what's funny. Like, P has always been a part of Louisville. Listen to the music. You didn't hear him shout out Kentucky and Battle.
Now, Battle, yeah. Now, I understand.
That wasn't the only song, though.
No,
y'all remember, man. Shout out to Chili B. Shout out to Sire Kia and them. Like, real talk. That's another conversation, but P always been a resident of Louisville. A lot of rappers have. They vote here and got kids here, but P's always been family, always been a resident of Louisville. So shout out to P, big love to P.
Yeah, we got another son that ball for us.
for sure. Like P has always showed us love, you know, and that was before Hurricane Katrina, when we found that there was a lot of people from New Orleans and Mississippi that found their way here to Louisville.
Yes, they did. I remember
you know,
that.
And I can't wait to do the movie about that. So that's in the works next. You know what I'm saying?
Sweet.
Real talk from the 502 to the 504. Definitely coming soon. But you know, that's what I was getting to about families, is that sometimes you have disagreements, you know, and there's some times where if there's money around, it's hard, you know, because you got to think about people like Kendrick Lamar. I seen an interview where he said he still got family in the projects. You can't save everybody. No. And sometimes it's not ideal, you know, so I think a lot of those things is what factored into me having the upbringing I had, because it was more about us just being protected and safe.
Right.
You know, and I think, you know, a lot of people in my sphere of influence early in my life, you know, it was hard to maintain and understand a lot of that.
Right.
So it came with, you know, what it came with. But as I got older, because I didn't really, you know, it wasn't something I walked around and did. Like, I think the only time I really might have talked about it was like when I was in elementary school. And I stopped real quick because it was like either, well, he ain't going to come up here to the school. He has Parkinson's and he's in a wheelchair and he lives in Arizona. He's not coming to my school. You hear me? Not on his own will. You feel me? But then not only that, it was like wouldn't fight me then. You know, I had to really go through some stuff. Like, it was like the people thought I was lying or something. Like, people just wake up in the morning and they just, you know what I'm saying?
Always trying to.
Which is some monkey folk around here to do that, but I'm not that brand. You feel me? Like, not that brand at all. Are not. So, and that's known. You feel me? So it was like, for me, once I got to like a teenage, I just didn't talk about it no more. It wasn't really anything interesting. I think when it hit me, there was two things that happened. Was 2016, obviously, when he passed away, and then you seen this influx of tourism here to just, you know what I'm saying? And that was a hard time for me, because it was a lot to process, you know, because again, for the world, this is their hero, but for me, this is my grandfather. Like, this is actually really, I look it's like this man, my knees are connected, like his knees are connected, you know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, I'm stubborn, I'm comical, all these things, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't even honestly really see it till I got to like 21. So, you know, with his passing, and then like the passing of Breonna Taylor, it was like one of them, like, because I'm really spiritual, so, you know, I won't get into that with the FCC rules and laws.
We're gonna touch on the spiritual a little bit.
Yeah, so you know, it was like one of them things because I started to see how they was doing the biopics, like the BMFs. Shout out to Meech, shout out to Lil Meech. He came here for my birthday.
Did he really?
Like
Word.
2 years ago, and so we got the song. I'm waiting for it to clear. I'm waiting on something to clear with Big Meech. So like I said, it's big thing. It's big things in the way, like for sure. Because you know what I'm saying, a lot of people, you know, we got to really preserve our great black people, you know, because the thing is always like unconventional. But what is unconventional? I think it's what they define it is. Because for us, it was never conventional, unconventional. We were just people living and being in, you know, technically, you know what I'm saying? Because this was all a forced at first.
Yes.
Yeah, but different day conversation. So, you know, as I got older, that was the movement I was having because I was able on my own to research about my granddad. So I learned other things because I really didn't know that much coming up. Like, it was just like, that's my granddad.
And that's
you know, I would see pictures with him and my dad, or, you know, my brothers would talk about little different things, you know, that we would do what the things that was going on. But again, it's just family. We not, you know, even because this is the time when, like, you know, Layla had a fight here with Jackie Frazier. Things like still earlier in the time when the Ali movie came out, and like, this is a big deal. But to us, it's just like, oh, that's just, you know what I'm saying? We've really been like, we've really been, for the most part, as far as that part of life, we've been sheltered. You know what I'm saying? I've always been around celebrities and stuff like that, but it was in coming and going because my dad had he had his own lane. It had nothing to do with him being the son of, you know what I'm saying? He had his own lane that he created, which is why I think he was always hard on me to create my own lane. Because it's like, you just got to and if you really look at all of my grandfather's children, they all have their lane. You know, each child has their own career or a foundation of their lane. Even with my cousins, everybody's got something that we do that's on our own that's separate from the Muhammad Ali brand. And that's not because we don't want to be associated. It's just because he would want us to do that. Like, again, he had an interview where he mentioned that he didn't even want his kids to box just because he didn't feel like it was necessary. You know, he didn't like what it did to him, and he wouldn't want his blood to go through that. You know
I can understand that.
To that point, like, I did box. I had found myself in some trouble that kind of ruined the opportunity I had at the time. And so I was getting ready to get back into it, but then again, this is like when Breonna Taylor passed away and then Pop Smoke passed away. So I just had a lot going on. Excuse me. And so that's why I had moved into the like nonprofit and community work because I was already doing it anyway. But you know, it was like I felt like it was that time to be like, you know what? It's time I really tell my perspective of the story. Like, I have a say in how they immortalize my grandfather, because me personally, I've never personally been a fan of how he's been represented, you know. And then not only that, just the lack of information that I had to get when I was an adult, you know, because I'm 29, so a lot of that information didn't come till later. Right.
That makes sense. And saying something when you said growing up, hold on, let's talk about your father for a second. So I was in the barbershop. Shout out to New Look. And I told them that I was having an Ali on the show, and they was like, "Oh, hold on, what you mean? You got an Ali on the show?" I was like, "Cause Mark Pence." So I was telling them Mark, and they just automatically went to your father, Marshall. And I was like, "I think he told me his name was Mark."
Shout out to Big Dude.
Yeah, so it was actually your father that they were talking about in the barbershop. And how's that dynamic between, because you said everybody has their own lane, and your father does a lot of things in the city too. And he's real private too. Like, they talk about, they's like, you got who to come out? I was like, Marshall ain't coming out.
He's funny because like he's like extremely private, like for sure. But I think like that goes back to just the historic annotations, because, you know, I've met Dr. Martin Luther King's son, Martin Luther King Jr. 3. I've met Malcolm X's daughters that aren't, you know, some of them are incarcerated. So they come to Louisville. A lot of them come to Louisville. It's things people don't know. They come to Louisville. We contact each other. Like, me and Monique Liston, she's a good friend of mine. I love Monique Liston. Shout out to Monique. Shout out to Milwaukee for show, and the Ubuntu Foundation, because she's dope. She's doing big work out there.
Is she? All right.
But, you know, with my dad, you know, it's like, I think a lot of why he move how he move is because of those things. But he's always been the kind of person that he always wants to play a part or be a part of something. And he definitely very much cares about this community and the community abroad, and very much about preserving his father's legacy in a certain way that's tasteful, and respectful as well. And he does do a lot. You know, he's giving away like thousands of bikes to the community. A lot of people have been able to come to the barber school free of charge at really low rates. A lot of people have been able to come just with the barber school alone, have been able to come and have a family, you know, a family unit, and people that, you know, they can come see every day, and a place to go and a place to be. You know, a lot of the homeless people in Jeffersonville for many years have come and gotten free haircuts, food, resources. For about 5 or 6 years, we did free haircuts for the Life Springs, which would be equivalent to like 7 counties.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
And we got the ice cream shop, which is actually for kids that have like cognitive and neurological disabilities such as like autism and cerebral palsy. And
where's the ice cream shop at?
422 Spring Street. Please come out, and if you're there, get you the Champ Shake. It's got vanilla ice cream, honey bunches of oats, and whipped cream. My favorite. You won't regret it. Check it out.
Good.
But so we definitely do a lot, and you know, and it's like for me, you know, he's offered me the opportunity to just be able to, in so many ways, you know, because like I said, you know, he's private and he's definitely in his own lane, and he very much has expected that out of his own kids, is to definitely not seek some kind of royalty out of being an Ali, because realistically that don't really mean nothing, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's like a lot of what Kanye was trying to get us to understand, is that when it comes to being a popular figure in America and a strong black man, that you can easily be taken off that pedestal.
Easily.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing with Floyd Mayweather. Like, I have no ill emotion towards the brother, but I dislike a lot of the things he says in the media sometimes in regards to my grandfather, because one, it's very cowardice. Like, put a name on it, because if it ain't directed, it ain't respected.
Right.
That's the first
Say
thing.
that
but
again.
you know, he does a lot of the I retired with all my accolades. Yeah, you did, but you ran away from a lot of fights. You also handpicked your fights, and you fought a lot of people when they was no longer in their prime. You know, you said that it was very handpicked and cherry picked. That's the first thing. But two, you know, when you say all your accolades, you basically shunning a man who made a sacrifice for you to be able to sit on TV and talk the crap that you talk, because his sacrifice made it possible for you to disrespect his legacy and talk against his accolades being taken away for him making a decision on behalf of our people.
Right.
You know, so I had to say that on the air, you know, because again, you know what I'm saying, it's all about respect. You know, if there were no Muhammad Ali, it wouldn't have been a Floyd Mayweather 1 or a Roger Mayweather or a Floyd Mayweather Jr. And that's just being fair and honest on the truth, is that, you know, a lot of times our greats and our legends are being disrespected, and their legacies and the things that they've contributed have been disrespected. And it's not really about comparing people, you know, because I hate that when they do the like, is that the next Tupac? Yeah. Let Tupac rest.
Let him be.
Tupac, Tupac is Tupac. Right. And then NBA Youngboy is NBA Youngboy. Drake is Drake, and this and that and so
next
on and
to Bron
so forth.
Is Bron's Bron.
And that's all it is to it. You know, Bronny Jr. shouldn't have to have it. And so that's again why, you know, I think that's where we at now, you know, because I'm really loving getting to see my favorite NBA players, kids, be NBA players. You know, I'm loving getting to see Lil Romeo, which is, he's Romeo now, because he don't like that Lil stuff.
I'm sure he don't.
He's like Romeo now, but he's a CEO just like P.
Right.
And that's a wonderful thing to see. You know, you see Bow Wow's daughter, she's in, you know, the TikTok thing, that's very much similar to the little Bow Wow we saw coming up, crip walking on the BET Awards. So it's just a beautiful thing to get to, you know, see all of that, like, and to have it, you know. So again, that's what I was kind of saying about, like, with the Kanye thing, is like, it's a reason you move a certain way you do, because what he's basically saying is my life and living and my siblings living is that we've lived in the city of Louisville, where my grandfather came from, where he basically was willing to lose his accolades and be stripped of his titles and stuff because of what was still happening actively today to people that look like him in the city of Louisville. And so it's really hard for me. And again, that's why I started Gloves Not Guns, because it's been extremely traumatic and hard for me to be on Muhammad Ali Boulevard, knowing it's named after my grandfather, which it was originally Walnut Street, so we know what that was about. But then that, on top of it being named after my grandfather and his legacy, knowing what he stood for, and that he refused to go to Vietnam because he didn't want to kill a colored person. You know what I'm saying? And then y'all stripped him and demonized him because of that his entire life. You know, you created this turmoil, but then Another slap in the face is that you make one of the hardest blocks in the city named after him, where people are killing each other when he refused to kill people because he was a Muslim that prayed 5 times a day. It doesn't add up.
Right.
So that was what Kanye was kind of saying, is that he don't want Saint West and Psalm West standing struggling selling dope on Kanye West Boulevard in Chicago one day, watching black people die in Chicago when that was all they daddy was fighting for.
Right.
You know, and I know a lot of times that like come off as dark, but you know, that's the problem. You know, we don't talk enough about what's really going on, and these are the things that's really actually actively going on.
Right.
I really, you know, I try not to speak in that light, but I really would believe my grandfather in the afterlife is like really unhappy right now because of how much he lost for that sacrifice, and then to see what it's come to today. And no, it's not on the people. You know, I don't want to say that with the attitude like I'm upset with my community, because I know that there's things above us, just like it was things above him. I believe that if Parkinson's was not and when I say Parkinson's, I say that with quotation marks, but you know, I don't believe that I believe if he didn't have that, things would have been different. I definitely believe he would have built the gym. I definitely believe he would have built the mosque here. He would have bought a lot of real estate. He would have did a lot of things. You know, a lot of people don't know he had Champ Burger franchises in other cities. So it was a burger restaurant called Champ Burger, and he had sodas. You know, it was 5 different flavors that was called Mr. Champs, and so it was like 5 different flavors of them sodas. He had potato chips, he had candy, he had hair picks, he had crayons, he had, you know, a comic book where he beat up Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like he won the fight.
And if anybody's got that, I'm sure that's worth something right now.
It's definitely. I mean, the Omni Hotel actually had like a summarized version of it. A hardcover at the hotel. I don't know if they still do. It's like $20, but an original is like starting like $400. Like for sure. Like right now, like, you know, it's funny because like I said, I got my own lane and my dad does too. But I think a lot for me why I moved into entertainment is when I saw that, like, you know, because he passed away in 2016. But you know, his first actual appearance in the Olympics is almost like 60 something years ago. Yeah, when maybe you think more. About it. Yeah, like, but like if you go on eBay right now, try to find anything, the price of that. So I was like, that's the lane I want to be in. You hear me? Like, because it's just amazing how, you know, so much time has went by and his brand and his likeness, how much money it's worth. Yes. You know, and so again, that goes back into how generational wealth turns into generational poverty. Because if that's the case, you know, when he passed away, his face and likeness, one, I think it was Bloomberg had reported, don't quote me, but an outlet had reported that his name and likeness at the time of his death in 2016 was worth $434 million.
That's a big number.
That's a big number. You know what I'm saying? And just considering what, you know, and again, it's not about what anybody's been through, but it's definitely about telling your testimony and being honest about what's taking place. You know, there's a reason why certain people was left into generational poverty, or why only certain ones will be celebrated or acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? And I won't go into that because, again, you know, conspiracies are not a historical, and that's still my family. So it's certain things that while Spike Lee, you know, one of these filmmakers might be able to feel like they compelled to speak on behalf of the coach, I just won't, because it's still my family, and there's still a line of respect in there, and it's still love. You know what I'm saying? Because before anything, it's definitely black liberation, but before anything else, it's family. You know, and that's important to me because we're all learning and growing people, and we all are very much him in our own ways. Like, and I've seen it. Like May raps, Hannah does like the same type of work I do here in Los Angeles. Nico boxes. His brother, his twin brother, BG. I call him BG, but his name, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's like Bellagio. He's beautiful. I mean, he's so pretty. I mean, he's like pretty to the max. He really went Ali on him because like, and he used to model. You know, he's doing MMA now, but like he's really beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he don't have to tell you he's an Ali. You look at him, you like that's an Ali because he's so pretty. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, you know, he's pretty like me. So maybe so everybody's got their thing. You know what I'm saying? And like my niece. Like, it was so funny because, like, we was at my mom's house and she had her, and it was like, my mom got a pair of Jordans. And so, like, she put the shoe on, and I swear this little baby's not even 1 yet. And the first thing she did was like pose, like, yeah, I'm all that. And I'm like, see, it's in the great grandbaby. Like, it just don't stop. And that's why I think, you know, it was good that it was so much time that I waited before this was ever a conversation about who my grandfather was, because one, I needed to manifest in the understanding of it all. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Being humble is a big thing. You feel me? Like, we're pretty and we're this and that, but we're humble first.
Awesome. And in saying that, like, if you come out too early, you just said it basically was not having that understanding. So what people will tend to do now is they'll come out early and say something and then be like, oh, I had no totally understanding, and then have to retract once you got older and understood. So that's like brilliant on your part. And if there's anybody that I could say is so Louisville, has to be you and your family. That is so
it don't get no more Louisville than that.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is SWAC? You know what I'm saying? What is Louisville? You are Louisville, and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad that you're starting to. So I'm under the impression that you're getting ready to start coming out and start maybe showing your face a little more. You don't have to tell us what you got going on, because you got some things going on.
That, but definitely that's why I say it's so funny. Like, it's so funny, but it's so beautiful at the same time. And I'm glad I'm able to be as humble and mature as I am, which is why I say that I enjoy being his grandson, because I feel like I'm the most like him more than anybody ever could be. Like, I just feel it. A lot of people tell me, and it's just like the historical events. Like, I was in the military, I didn't stay, and it was a lot of for the same reasons why he didn't go to Vietnam. And, you know, I actually, funny thing, I actually got the same Schwinn he had, but mine is like it's like a classic edition of like some collection that came out in the 80s, but it's actually a Corvette Schwinn.
Oh, sweet.
Same one he had, but like mine is leveled up. So it's like, you know, and that's what I love, you feel me, about all of that. And that's why I waited, and I'm glad that I waited like I did, because I needed to be humble. You know, a lot of times when you have people, you know, you see it in the industry with certain people's kids, like if they parents was like celebrity, like artists.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And like what we see with one particular person is like he's exactly like the apple did not fall far from the tree, because like the rapping is not third eye, but it's like you already know he can't stop, won't stop. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna keep going. Shout out to him, but you know, we definitely got my generation has their Diddy. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I would like to be this generation's humanitarian, and that's solid. And so that was why I came for Breonna Taylor's movement, because I am so Louisville, you feel me? And it won't be no more Louisville than anything that's running through my veins. So it was like, it made all the sense for me to be there. And that's why I say it go back to the generational wealth, because if I had, and I'm just saying this because I know the type of person I am, and the city can vouch for that, but if I had any portion of that 434 million, that movement would have happened differently. And that's why I didn't have a portion of that 434 million, is because they know that. You know what I'm saying? Because if I had the opportunity to sit and talk about Malcolm X and talk about the movement and Dr. King, and he could have taught me things and told me about, you know, certain things, it would have been a different, you know what I'm saying? It would have been different. And that's why it's so funny when you really, how they say they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. Like, they tried to silence this man, this one man.
That was good.
And then he went out here and had all these kids. They had all these kids, and now these kids is hooping and hollering and making all the fuss. And now you don't have to deal with one, you got to deal with a gang of them. Like, it sucks now. Like, but I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
like,
sorry for you all, great for us.
Yeah, like, because that just go to show you the universe, how the universe really work. That's why I'm like up here, like, just really like discussing my truth, because I really don't care, you know, and not because I'm an Ali, but just because I'm black. Like, we shouldn't care. Like, we've cared for too long, and it hasn't gotten us very far. Like, you know, I got my, like, the personal things I was discussing with you before I came here, like, and I'm dealing with that every day, all day.
Right. And let's just say something. There's like I said, we don't want to be known for another 48 hours, and there's a charge that is being led here underneath, however you want to look at it, in the city, about how we're trying to bring this stuff to light and make this city better for our black folks and the things that are going on here. You're part of that. You're going to help lead that charge, and the people that you collaborate with are helping to lead that charge. So that's a beautiful thing. So you don't have to come all the way out from behind the curtain, but the fact that you're coming out a little bit is awesome to us, and we like that. And this is only the beginning. And as we say here at LLF, of course, we bomb first. I got him. What you got going on, Irma?
Dude, Sorry, bro.
Right. Leave it.
Trying to
Right.
make sure because Michi was supposed to be coming up here, but
And
just
if you don't come through, Meech, I'm coming for you anyway. So if you
Yeah,
ain't
yeah,
up here
yeah,
now.
he
What
be
you
to
say?
see
You
you
said it was
anyway.
what? There was a basketball game down there or something?
yes, because like he's doing the event, so that's why I was glad that the Silver Gloves, and y'all will see. So Louisville, y'all will see some more boxing events. Kentucky, you will see some more boxing events. I can't tell you everything.
Right.
Greater Than Ever, the movie is wild, man. Like for real, just the people that's gonna be in it. Like I
That's
really went out and sought after the children and the grandchildren of everybody that he had relationships with.
Right.
And again, I felt like that was important because, like, if you look at like with T.I. and Lil Wayne, they was best friends, and then their daughters was best friends, and so on and so forth. And that's created a good nest of support within what they've been through as people personally,
Right.
and navigating success.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like again, with my granddad, all his friends got killed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sam Cooke died, and then
Sam
Otis
Cooke was my
Redding
guy.
died,
Yep,
Marvin Gaye died.
And Malcolm
Malcolm
X.
X,
Right.
you know, all them people he was with that he was running with all passed away in a very, very like short amount of time, right behind each other. And
in a not a conventional kind of way.
Yeah, non-conventional.
Right,
you know, like when
like-
you think about like with like the King Von and the NBA Youngboy,
Yeah.
that was them then. Like they was the rappers and the artists of that time, and like what you see these rappers experiencing, my grandfather and them was experiencing that on like 16 squared. You feel me? Because you wasn't just worried about other black people or other situations that could arise up. You worried about the Klan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're really
Right.
worried about the Klan. Like people really, you sleep at a hotel, you know, like if you watch his movie at his training camp, the Klan came through at his training camp. Like
Yeah.
that was portrayed
Yeah.
in a movie. That was real.
Right. And if you
know
ain't
what
seen
I'm
it, you
saying?
need to see it.
to see it because it's like with these rap, and again, that's why I feel the need to be more transparent and visible these days, you know, because with the emergence of like popular rap here in the city now, like, and I say popular rap now because rest in peace, Static Major, you know, shout out the player, again, shout out to Chili B and all the ones that paved the way for us, Daddy O, Hershey's, and the people that came before, because rap has always been a thing in Louisville. It's nothing new. We've always had an influence on the industry and the music. Some of the best songwriters, producers have always come from Louisville, background singers, musical arrangers, bass players, Wilson Pickett. We could go on, you know, and that's why I feel the need to be visible. It's because I want Louisville to get their respect. Like I want our black community to thrive like any other black community anywhere else.
Right.
Especially for the historical reasons that we would need to. You know, this was the Harlem of the South, you know. If you watch,
Right.
just real
Right.
quick, if you watch this week's episode of BMF, you know, they leave
I've seen it.
Detroit. Okay.
Don't miss it.
So what happened? Where do you go after Toledo? What do you pass through after Toledo if you're going to Atlanta? Just think about it. We
Okay.
talking about the 80s in Louisville. What would you pass through if you coming from Toledo, from Detroit, Toledo to?
Okay, so I'm trying to think. I've been around
What's
a lot.
in
You got
between all
Cleveland, you
that?
got Louisville, you got all.
You just said it.
Yeah.
And what was happening in Louisville in the 80s? I ain't gonna say no names,
Right.
but we know. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
You don't think they cross paths? You know what I'm saying? If you
Yeah,
know,
okay.
you know.
Okay.
If
I
you
see
know,
what
you know.
did. Right.
So
I got
you
it.
and maybe that'll come out in the next episode. If so,
Maybe.
50, I love you, baby. But
Right.
real talk, if you know, you know. So Louisville needs their respect because we've always been moving in the culture. We've always been a part of something, or navigators or something. And it just, I want it to be more visible because it really seemed like Louisville hasn't had the respect it deserves since my grandfather died. And that's a shame.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I got into it not for that reason, but for that same flavor. As far as Louisville is not getting the respect that they deserve. And like when I first did my first show, I looked around and I was like, I had no idea. I'd never been to a boxing match. I'm like, dude, I'm from Louisville. How you mean you ain't never been to no boxing match? Y'all need to go to a boxing match. You're from Louisville, you gotta go to a boxing match. So then it just all took off from there. Because when I got there, I saw the space and was just like, y'all seeing this? I
'Cause
said,
it's
nah,
real.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, are y'all seeing this? I was like, nah, let's bring this out to light some more. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been rocking for years. It ain't LLF, man. These people been getting down for years. We just trying to add some more light to it. That's all.
And I appreciate you. Like, I really appreciate this platform. I appreciate you, one, giving me my respect and my flowers at the event, for sure, for sure. And that's not to say that because Muhammad Ali's my granddad that everybody should lay out a red carpet everywhere I go and
Right.
like that. Because I'm
Right.
still human.
And you ain't that type of person.
Absolutely not.
You're
like
not that type of person.
if
I'm telling you right now, he's not that kind of guy.
Yeah, if anything, it's the other way around. Like that's what
Right.
I was about to say. Like I think for the next boxing match, we'll probably purchase like 1,000 tickets to just give out to the community for free. For the simple fact that nobody's being like for the summertime, I'm giving out bikes and we buying Ali Center memberships and just handing them out like in the projects like Park Hill, New Beach, all of them Shag Bark, all that, because it's like
Right.
there's so many black people that couldn't tell you the address of the Ali Center. They couldn't tell you where it was at. I think the scariest things when I met somebody that said, "What is that?" And it was a grown person, you feel me? That said they was from here, grew up here from Shepherd Square. And didn't know, like that's, and then to be his grandchild, it's like one of them where if you could, you know how in the cartoons where the smoke come out their ears and the steaming and kettling and all that, because it's crazy. Like just even with the airport, like I think the airport could be like, and I know that there's developments coming, but like, you know, I would also love to have a say in that. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Greenberg? But you know, like realistically, like I also, you know, I would like to see it be better because it's representation. Like my grandfather was a devout Muslim, and you know, I know that we're a bourbon state, but I really don't like the cross association with him and bourbon just simply because it goes against Islam, because it is liquor's forbidden in Islam. And you know, I don't really like the Christian representation. I'm not saying I don't like it. Let me take that back because this is the media. People are sensitive, but
yeah, you know what they'll do with
yeah, you know,
take
so,
it up, try to shred it apart, dog,
yeah,
put all
man,
kind of different
they'll call me a draft dodger by
Right.
association. So
right.
no, realistically, it's just like respect what he believed in his beliefs. Like really give, you know, the respect to the people of that religion, and you know, because I would have liked to see Farrakhan speak at his services.
That
You know what I'm saying? Or somebody of that
That'd
nation.
been
It
sweet.
could have been Brother X. It could have been anybody. You know, you could have had Ice Cube come up and say a word or two. You know, but the fact that none of those people was considered, and then to speak, to be a part of that, you know, for it to be televised the way it was, and then also just seeming like it's this one world idea. Like he really did have a strict idea about what he believed in, because that's why when you seen that the height of the introduction of Trump into presidency, he made a written statement that somebody had to read aloud about, you know, just saying that this is not what Muslims stand for, and we don't, you know, none of that, you know, and he's always done that, you know what I'm saying? Even after 9/11, when he went on TV with Will Smith, to just make it clear that, you know, we Muslims, but that don't add up, that ain't us, we don't support that, none of that. So, you know, I just want those beliefs to stay intact. And you know, they don't, you know, I want them to celebrate the person who wasn't afraid to speak his mind either.
No, he was not, and wasn't afraid to do it.
They,
No,
you know, because that stuff I didn't know. Like I didn't know that, you know, he played in plays on Broadway. You know, I didn't know that those plays on Broadway were about like civil rights and different little political issues, because he was really a lot smarter than people give him credit for.
You can say that again.
He was extreme. He was like, and that's so that's something I found out in adulthood, you know, because they mentioned all the time he had dyslexia. And I want to be very clear, like on the air, is that you can thrive and be intelligent with dyslexia. That does not mean that you're not intelligent or that you're of lower thought than the next person because you have it. It's just things get mixed up, basically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not that you're dumb or nothing, because that's what they put out there all the time. But there was nothing dumb about my grandfather at all. Like absolutely nothing dumb about him.
Not to veer left, but and not to give them any space, but there's a show on TV about a black cop that's dyslexic. And then the next thing is, on that note, if there was something, or maybe narrow it down to maybe one or two questions, but there was one thing that you could have a conversation about with your grandfather that had passed away, if he was still around today, what would be like one of the questions that you would want to know about him in his life if he was still around today? Something that you would ask.
All right, so because I love Tupac. And I love Nas, so I obviously wanted to know if like he ever met them and what he thought about their music and what they stood for in the culture. I always wanted to ask him about his last time he saw Malcolm X, like what, because you know, if you've heard the story, it was more so my grandfather just kind of, you know, and he was young and he was being stirred a direction, but you know, them words wasn't really polite, you know what I'm saying? And so I think he regretted it. You know, you could tell when you look at him speaking at the funeral service and stuff. But I always just wanted to ask him, like, if he could go back. You know, I know he probably would have said yeah or something like that. He probably wouldn't have wanted to talk about it at all. But,
right.
you know, if I could ask him, you know, I wanted to ask him, like, you know.
How did that go?
You know, what are your feelings now? Like, you know, if you could go back, would you have just been like, hey, bro, I believe you, man. You know, you just because you want to know. Because I love Malcolm X too. I love his daughters. I love his grandchildren. I love all of them. They family too. So that's why I always wanted to know. But then it's like the one more thing I always wanted to know was it's a story. And because he's a funny guy, like he really was. Like you watch the interviews and you just crack up off of that. But it was like one of the trainers said that one of his first times being out of town, there was like all these girls that came to the hotel. And so he said it was like a whole floor of girls on his floor. Like it was his room, and then every other room was like all these chicks and stuff. And so he said, he hollered, I could have swore, I'm not mistaken, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he went to every room on that floor. You know, I always wanted to know, like, Poppy, did you know what I'm saying? Was you really doing that?
Right.
It's a bunch of us out here,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to know.
Chamberlain numbers.
Real talk, man, because you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just interesting to know. I mean, you know, obviously he was taking care of himself because he didn't have those Wilt Chamberlain issues later on down the road. But you know what I'm saying? It's just to know that he's the original player. Like he's you know, that's why Player, you know, I love Static and Smokey and Jay and them, because like I think even that name would even be somewhat just coming. The reason that they was so smooth, and, you know, they had a real grown and sexy kind of classy, you know, because they was a touch class first. Right. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the talent shows they used to have back in the day when they would let people showcase, and then they built up into that, you know. But, you know, they was just classy, and like you see it with Jack, you see it with Bryson, you know what I'm saying? You even see it with G. Like they not just moving like anybody else in the industry. Like the fashion is much different. It's much more, I would say, grown up and, you know, just real businessy, but looking like, you know, I'm chilling, but I'm definitely on a move. And I think that comes from my granddad, because it wasn't even just him being an attractive person through his facial features. He liked the dress. He was fly. Right. You know, and that was like the biggest thing why I got irritated when they kept showing after his passing, like him in a wheelchair and all fragile and stuff. Because I'm like, y'all got it twisted. Like, show the pictures where he was dripped all the way out. With the brown suit, with the yellow shirt, with the cowboy boots. Like, you know what I'm saying? Black men wasn't even really wearing cowboy boots. Like, and this is before Texas Walker Ranger and the dude that was on there. Like, this is before Pac with the boots.
For all that, right.
You know what I'm saying? And so just his style, his flavor, the DC fade, like, you know what I'm saying? Realistically, Boosie probably saw that on my granddaddy first. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about it, like, just the contribution to culture, like Steve Harvey, you know, when he had his box, you know, and his suits, you know, you gotta really kind of start putting it together and piecing, you know, how it looks. And so, you know, realistically, I don't think those are the three things I've always thought about. But realistically, I don't think I really would have said anything to him, because I just would have been so happy. You know, I'm a loving person. I love my family. Like, Lord knows, I'm crazy about my brothers and my daddy. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And that's what's so funny, because, like, my dad, again, you know, he's Parkinson's Muhammad Ali. Right. When I'm growing up, because I was born in 93. So by then, it's just getting, you know, whatever. And so, like, I'm only seeing pictures on the wall, and I'm thinking, damn, my granddaddy's rich. He got a big giant picture. I'm just thinking, like, whoa, he's loaded. Like, what's going on? But I'm not understanding why, though. I'm not understanding why everywhere I go, there's these pictures, and he's with Michael Jackson. And then, so my dad, in his life, he literally emulated that same thing, where my dad got pictures with Michael Jordan, and they come into Louisville specifically to just kick it with him. Right. You know what I'm saying? My dad talks to Dame Dash all the time. And that's normal, but it's like, that was what I saw. So ultimately, like, as a smaller kid, it would have been more like my daddy was Muhammad Ali, and he looks just like him. So that's what I'm seeing, you know, because I only see pictures of Muhammad Ali at that point. You know, I met him eventually in person when I was older, but it was like, up until then, it's just like, you see the pictures, you hear the name, but you just think he's some important guy, like he's just really important in Louisville or something like that. Like, maybe he does a lot of favors. You know, I'm thinking it's like on some mafia Godfather type. You know what I mean? Because that's how it was moving. Because we're really private, so it's just if you know, you know. It's very, you know, plain sight. But it was like with my dad, it was just like the love and just seeing him, you know, everywhere we go. He got, you know, these motorcycles and the new car. Like, you know, it's funny because a man I met, he told me my grandfather had TVs in his Cadillac, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around that because of the time period. But I guess if you had that money back then, you could do it.
Right. First with cell phones and them little
You hear
block
me?
phones.
And
all
so
that.
I thought about that, like with my dad, because I remember him having a TV in the steering wheel, and it's like 1999.
Right,
You know,
like,
this ain't
what?
even a thing yet. You feel me?
Like, what?
So you know, and that's just normal life for me, and that's why I move how I move. You know, when it comes to the shoes, when it comes to the clothes, and I'm saying this very, very blatantly, like. When it comes to the shoes, when it comes to the drip, I know there's some people out here dripping, and y'all get y'all's respect, but please know and believe you can't compare to me. It's just not happening. It's not happening. And I mean that like with all sincerity. Like I'm coming from a different lane with it, and I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just really wavy with it. Shout out to Max B. But you know what I mean? It's just
Right.
it's crazy, you know, because it's like with all of it, it's like if I had the opportunity to just go with him on the summers. Or him coming to Louisville and then like he take me every single place,
Right.
that he liked to, I wouldn't want it to have no conversations like
You just want to be
just
there.
want to be there,
Right,
but
and be happy
not
to be
because
there.
it's Muhammad Ali, just because it's my
my
granddad.
granddad.
But
You
like,
know what I'm saying?
if he was alive now, like now that I know what I know, and we had those opportunities, like if he didn't have Parkinson's, and
Right.
he could just fly and we can go play golf or something like that.
You can shoot him and talk to him like that.
Yeah, like now I would probably like, especially with the height, because that's why I'm like at this point it's like I'm hurting the most, because like at the height of the political stuff we experiencing is what I would have loved to, at 29, being able to just sit with him and talk right now and just be like, yo,
Yeah, the direction he could have gave you.
you know,
like
and
unreal
that's why
for our own city.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, for just our city, because we can get to everything else, but it was like at the heart of Breonna Taylor, I would have, especially when it got to the point for all the people we lost since Breonna Taylor, I would have loved to know what he would have thought we should do, because he wouldn't have wanted to see people burning up trash cans, and then he would have been out there with us, whether he was 80, 90, he would have been out there with us, so that would have been amazing to be marching with my granddad, knowing that he did because he would have loved to been here in the height, because he was in the civil rights movement.
Yeah, he's about that life.
He was about that, so it would have been so dope
life.
to just have him here with me, and we out there together, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then not only that, it just would have been dope to be like, yo, what would you say to the Pope? Like I would. So if you're talking about questions, like I would love to know what he would have said to Donald Trump on June 7th.
Yeah.
And I would love to know what he would have said to Donald Trump on June 5th and January 7th and January 5th. And I would love to know what he would have said to LMPD, just all across the board.
Yeah. And how do you address
like
them?
what he would have said to Mayor Fisher, just these political people in these high positions that idolize them, and when tourists come around and then it's a thing, you feel me? Like I would have loved to know, because he didn't hold back, so I would have loved to know, what his words would have been to Miss Tamika, to Kenya, to anybody about this subject, because I know that pretty much what I'm saying is what he would have said, but it probably would have been even more in depth. Because he was actually there, he actually seen people get lynched. He actually lived during Emmett Till. He lived during these things, Rosa Parks and all of that. No, not only that, those was his friends.
Right, that's a different.
You know what I'm saying? So he was
friends.
He was with them when they wasn't in the newspaper and on TV. When they just got off the phone with them, I'ma kill you, nigga. And he's like, hey man, we gotta go back to sleep. You feel me? Like we gotta be somewhere tomorrow. So I would have just loved to know. Because it was a lot of times I didn't want to do it. It was a lot of times I felt like giving up. It was a lot of times where I wanted to just be like, you know what? This ain't got nothing to do with me directly. And I mean that like in not a disrespectful way, but there's a lot of times where I was like, I can't help nobody until I help myself. You know,
true.
and that's how I was looking at it. Like, I need to just go back to New York. I'm not appreciated here. My grandfather's not even appreciated here. It's not, it's not ideal to be here, and my mind's so big and my abilities are so great. It's like I'm outgrowing this environment.
Right.
And I still feel that way, but I also feel like because my grandfather couldn't do it, you know what I'm saying? And, like I said earlier, I'm very spiritual. So I'm getting ready to be 30. Right. And if you really do up the math between the time I've been alive and the time that he didn't, like, that the Parkinson's made him not be able to talk, that was about 30 years. So I definitely feel like as I'm approaching that age, it's something spiritual happening that's giving me this access to be able to, to just be able to see something so much different, because again, it's family for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be something emotionally, those emotional strings and pull back and reasons I want to be like, I need to protect my family's integrity. I need to protect my own integrity. I need to, maybe focus on being in the background. But when you're an Ali, that's the problem. You can't be in the background. You have to be number one.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
So
Like,
like
pull you. At least try to.
With all my might, I think that I've tried, but at this point, I don't even care because the world needed that energy. Like they needed a black man telling them, like, I'm pretty, I'm not ugly, I'm not a thug, I'm pretty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They needed a black man to say, I'm gonna do what I want, I'm gonna say what I want, and I don't care what you think, cause I don't. Like that's the thing. Like I'm really like living La Vida Loca, like Ricky Martin. Like I really don't like just know, cause you know what I'm saying. That's the energy that I was made to have. Like I can't fight against that. Like even when I've tried, it's like, nah, you need to be out there. And so that's what I'm doing. Like his Highland grandbabies out here. You feel me?
Trying to deny, like, cause. And that's another podcast, but being part of a lineage and trying to deny your lineage or what's inside of you. There are kids out there that are doing that right now, but like, yo, this is your dad, dog. It's in your blood. So go on ahead and get with that. And they're just so busy trying to be like, nah, that ain't me. I won't. But true indeed, you can still have your own lane. And that's what you do. And also, I like to say, we glad that you took care of yourself.
For sure.
First, and now you could come out here and help the city get back together, because like a friend of mine always said, Mr. Ralph Thomas, teamwork make the dream work.
For sure.
And we about that.
We need it, and I appreciate you. Like I appreciate this podcast and giving not just me a platform. Like I definitely appreciate it because this is just the beginning. But
say it again, just the beginning.
You know what I'm saying? And we got like five or six more. Like you feel me? We locked in, but like. I'm really happy, that this is a platform that exists because we didn't have it. Again, which is weird. But two, it was just needed because it's not just about Muhammad Ali. We had Rudell Stitch, we had Greg Page, we had Rampage Jackson, we had, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to Stephanie Malone because she like went to the Olympic trials. Like, these are things that we could tell stories about. Like, he didn't want everything to be him. He wanted it to be about boxing because that was the point. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even want to box. That was not like his ideal career. He liked acting and doing humanitarian stuff more. Like boxing is just, and so to say that, like, to all you young boxers out there, like if this is what gets you through and motivates you, you do it and you do it to your best. But like if there's something else in mind, and this is to any child, like if you play basketball, if you play football, and right now it's just a thing you feel like you have to do that, but definitely follow your own heart and your lane because it's more about happiness.
Say it again, bro.
We all just need outlets. You know what I'm saying? There's mechanics that are great cooks.
You see what I'm saying? Yes.
There's mechanics that are great cooks. There are pastors that are great freestyle rappers. Like there's other lanes. You know what I'm saying?
And it don't mean you have to reject that lane. You can still do that. And it also helped as far as touching people and moving out more too, because you can use one platform to move to another.
Absolutely.
And that's trying to get these kids to understand that.
And they got to see it. Like you was doing your podcast, there were kids in there that want to do podcasts. They was selling food over. There's kids in there that they might want to make their own food, like a recipe or something, or they might just want to open up a store. You know what I'm saying? There was people in there training. Some kids might not want to be the boxer. They might want to be the trainer. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so they got to see a plethora of different hobbies and trades happening in that one space. Like it's so much bigger than boxing. It really is. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than Muhammad Ali. It's just about those spirits keeping them going because Louisville is at a place where we're changing. So I definitely think there's improvements coming. It's good coming for sure. But, and I say like, because this podcast, me being here is definitely for the people that needed a voice. It's definitely for the people that just need some hope. But it's for my people. I'm speaking you know directly to Black Louisville. I'm speaking directly solely to Black Louisville. We cannot stay in the bubble of Louisville. We got to migrate outside of Louisville and communicate and collaborate with these other Black communities outside of Louisville because they're doing well. They're thriving. You feel me? Yeah. You're not hearing about those police departments killing people. You know what I'm saying? Because they got it's different. It's
things
set up
in play, and they got
you know what I'm saying?
Because
they know they have each other, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no you can go live in St. Matthews or you can go live in J-Town. There's one Black community for all the Black people to be at, and that's still real in Kentucky. So they not trying to this end of town versus this end of town because if the police get the tripping or the Klan ride through here, you see what I'm saying? We need everybody we got. Right. And that's really still happening in Kentucky. I used to live in Hazard County inside of Clay. And I was one of the few Black people. And I had that was a basketball game. And the place I was at, it's like maybe me, another kid from like somewhere else, like maybe Georgia or something. We're the only like Black Americans, and then everybody else was like African or some kind of something else.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we're playing at a basketball game. It's like a school basketball game, and every time one of the Black kids would hit a goal, it was like a family in the stands across from us. They would stand up and they had nooses around their necks. And they would. No, I'm not lying. Like, this is real. This really happened. 2009. They would stand up. And every time a Black kid would shoot a goal, they would pull the nooses on their necks. Like,
but there's some people out there. Shame on them, but there are people out there like that.
And
still.
then that's what I'm saying about why it's important for us to come together, because when we, our lack of unification is really hurting our people. It's nothing else hurting our people but our lack of willingness and our lack of unification, because everything we need is already out here. The paths is already laid out. That's why I said now it's more important for me to be more transparent and visible, because the path is already laid for me. I just have to walk it.
Feel that.
You know what I'm saying? And I really believe, that's why I said it's spiritual, because what I wanted to do wasn't serving me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get the preaching and nothing like that, but what I wanted to do wasn't serving me. So you see the meme with the little girl, and she's got a tiny teddy bear. And Jesus is kneeling down and he's like trying to take it from her. And she's like, but I love it. And then behind his back, he's got an even bigger teddy bear.
They don't understand that.
They don't get that.
They don't get that part right there.
You know what I'm saying? And so that was my situation, is that my little bitty tiny teddy bear I had, that I got myself, that I created, that I thought was the most important thing, that, because it was something I created. Right. You know what I'm saying? My own lane, my own path. That was what I thought was important, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't serving me. So that's when Allah came in my life with the bigger teddy bear. The teddy bear that's got the Muhammad Ali embroidery. You know what I'm saying? Because it's bigger than me. It's bigger than my family. It's about this community, because I'm tired of burying people, and I know that other people can agree on that.
Yes, they can
but
agree on that.
The most important thing is I'm tired of burying children. I was a first responder for the bus stop shooting that happened on 21st and Chestnut in 2021. And I'm still traumatized, because that's something you just never a day in your life expect. You know what I'm saying? You don't expect to wake up out your sleep to respond to children being shot at on a bus stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that you don't even, how do you even prepare for that? But how do you be the parent that has to deal with that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, these mothers out here are burying their children, and then they're getting younger and younger. You know what I'm saying? Like 13. Fathers too. You know what I'm saying? Definitely shout out to the dads, because I want these dads to know we appreciate y'all. Y'all love. We see you here, and y'all's pain matters too, because a lot of times only the mamas really get shine, or they only really give a lot of direction to the moms, because a lot of times that's who shows up. But I want y'all fathers out here that have lost y'all babies to know that y'all matter too. Y'all's pain matter, and I hear you and I see you, because y'all matter too. It takes two to make a baby, and one half of that pain is your pain too. But,
yes,
to my point is that, I'm tired of that, and I know my grandfather wouldn't like that. There wasn't no 14-year-olds dying in 1968.
No, and you're not the only one that's tired of that around the city.
For sure. So that's the need to just, when I'm speaking this directly to my community, because we can change this. We keep asking people for stuff that we've been asking for that they ain't gonna never give us.
So we're going to have to change it ourselves.
So change it ourselves. You got to be honest about certain things. If you know your son or your daughter or your nephew or your niece or whomever it is out here living foul, you have to own that. You got to accept that. And if you own it and accept it, then you understand that everything we do has a consequence. So you can't go out here and do they took my baby, or they deserve this, and they should do this, and da-da-da-da-da. But what has your baby took from somebody? You know what I'm saying? We never, they don't
talk about that part.
You don't never see obituaries with like brimstone and fire and devil horns and then like that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what that person was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Okay. And so I've told you, because we're going to have to wrap it up here. And we're glad. We're glad to see you. We are going to be glad to see more of you. The city of Louisville is going to be glad to see what you bring, because off air, he got some stuff coming. He got some stuff coming off air that we're not talking about, that you are going to see in the near future. And city's going to be a part of that. Hopefully I'll show my face every once in a while. Sure you got some auditions for me?
Yeah, nah,
Messing
actually,
with
so
him.
we got a video shoot ringside. That'll be this Sunday at 2:00.
This Sunday
Yeah.
at 2:00. Where's it?
Yeah.
Okay, video
Yeah,
ringside with two
yeah,
holes.
yeah, I gotta
Spat on
pull
that
up
before we
the-
get out of here.
Let me pull up the text. I gotta
Right.
get the text out. But yeah, let me see what homie told me because I want this whole city. I gotta come out, man. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great. Like we really
I want to
tryna-
come. I have an engagement Sunday at 3, but
Let me see.
I can
let
start
me see.
there and shoot out, see if it comes out. But we also want to know why you looking for that. Let me know when you find it.
1432 Berry Boulevard from 12 to 5.
1432 Berry Boulevard from 12 to 5 tomorrow.
So city pop out. Bring your boxing gloves if you got them.
Mhm.
Bring a Muhammad Ali, anything if you have it, any kind of Louisville Cardinal, anything that is representative of our city, our beautiful home, our beautiful 502. Pop out.
Mhm. Feel that. We love what you're doing. We glad you're back. It's nice to see you. It's not going to be last time I see you here, is it?
Not at all.
Not at all. All
Not
right,
at all.
we're good. Oh, hold on. Before we get out of here, because it's Ali. It's Ali. Hold on. It's one of them.
One of them. It's a gang of us outside, but I'm one of them.
There's one of them. So be in here before I try and tear the studio up. Lord have mercy. I want to present you with these so that
man.
you can remember being here and let you know that, local Louisville fighting, we bomb first. So
For sure.
I got it first. Booyah. We'll make sure you get a
man.
chance to see those.
That's
Take a look at
wild.
those.
Yes, indeedy. I like them, man. This is love. I really appreciate this.
All right. And
I do.
anything else you want to say before we get off? Man, anything else we'll say?
All I want to say is real quick. Your rent for your service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. First off, love your neighbor. It's not always easy, but love your neighbor because love is the only thing that's going to get us to where we need to go. That's all I got. I just want to see our city get better, man, because this right be good, man. Grandbaby got something for y'all, man. I love this place.
Hey, tell them again, man. So Louisville, local Louisville fighting. We out of here.
Peace.